If you are struggling gaining lean muscle and losing fat at the same time, then you need to pay attention to this entire video, because what I'm about to tell you is going to change the way that you lift weights when you go in the gym. Most people think that in order to lose fat consistently, you got to do a lot of cardio. And unfortunately, it's going to be the opposite. Your goal should be to consistently get into the gym, lift weights in a smart way that's going to yield not only putting on lean muscle, but your body burning fat for energy. The first thing you need to understand about this process is your body goes through different energy sources throughout your weight training session. And the one thing I want you to understand is you want to focus on what we call time under tension. The longer we can maintain a contraction through each repetition, the more fat we can dig into when it comes to energy sources used through our weight training routine, right? Now, there's different variables that go along with this, but when it comes to utilizing this particular tempo training, you want to focus on a little bit more on the higher reps of 12 to 15 in order to get into that fat burning zone where your body starts breaking down a little bit of fat, because the initial energy source used through your strength training is stored glycogen. So we want to burn through that as fast as possible. The longer we can keep a muscle contracted, the more we're going to burn through our glycogen and start using a little bit more fat for energy. All right? So the simple concept we call this is tempo. All right? Which is also time under tension. Meaning, how long can we keep that muscle contracted during the duration of the movement in order to get maximal usage of that muscle? And what I mean by that, let's say we're doing a chest press. You know, I see a lot of people in the gym, you know, just going through the movement. How can we change that exact movement to get more out of it to where you can actually gain muscle and lose fat at the same time? All right, and this is where we're gonna look at what we call tempo. Tempo is the speed at which you control the weight, right? So this tempo is a really fast tempo. And the goal is to make sure we slow down that tempo so we're getting a good stretch, and throughout that stretch, your muscles are firing off. You're getting a burn, it's hurting. And then when you push, so we're in the eccentric part of the movement, the lengthening part of the movement, which is going to be the first number. So as we stretch that muscle, and for example, this is your chest, this is the lengthening part of the movement. That's going to be the most important part of controlling the weight. So when you're controlling that weight, you typically want about a 3 to 4 second count when you come down. All right? So the first number is the lengthening of the muscle. All right? We want to control that. The muscle lengthens and then the muscle shortens, right? Now the middle number is going to determine whether or not you stop in the lengthened position. All right, and I do recommend around a 2 second pause. So 1, 2, 3, pause at the bottom, 1, 2. Now it's very important that your form is in check as well. The form is more important than anything else. It doesn't matter how much weight you use if your form isn't focusing on the muscles in which you need to be working. So the first number in the tempo, the lengthening of the muscle. The second number in the tempo is going to determine whether or not you stop at the full lengthened position where you get a super hardcore burn. And the third number, right, is going to be you pushing the weight back up, which is shortening the muscle. And typically that's going to be a little bit faster move. Typically you kind of can explode through that third part of the movement, which is the shortening of the movement. And typically we do around 1 second. So the first number is going to be 3 or 4. All right. The second number is roughly a 2. Again, depending on where you're at in the programming side of it. The third number is typically, I'm going to go ahead and push through it. And then we have the fourth number, right? And this is important as well, because if you don't know how to contract a muscle, you do not need to be lifting heavy weight. And this isn't gonna allow you to lift heavy anyways, all right? Heavy is relative to how well your form is, right? Because the last thing we wanna start doing is using unnecessary muscles that do not need to be involved in the movement, because we do have secondary muscles that are assisting in all movements. The goal is to use that primary muscle. Obviously you got secondary muscle as the primary muscle fatigues. But the goal in your chest press is now 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna pause for 2 seconds, explode to the top, and then we're gonna get a good squeeze. Now, typically, again, it varies based on where you're at in programming. Sometimes you hold it, sometimes you don't, but right now we're not gonna hold. So you're gonna explode up, squeeze as hard as you can, and then come right back down into the movement. There is no point at which you stop at the top, right? Because if we stop for too long and we're not contracting the muscle, and if you lock out that arm, your muscle is no longer working. So it's soft. The goal is to make sure you can contract it, make it as hard as possible, and then get right back into that lengthening of the movement. And again, this goes with all body parts, but I can't sit here and explain the entire process for all body parts. So we have the lengthening of the muscle, the stopping point at the bottom, the shortening of the muscle, and then whether or not we stop at the top to get that contraction. And I do recommend squeezing that muscle as hard as you can at the top to get maximal development of that muscle. If your focus is just to lift heavy weights to get bigger, you're not gonna have, the muscle shape that you want. When you start to learn to contract those muscles and get them firing from the top to the bottom, not only are you gonna have more muscular development, but you're also going to get stronger in those muscles without using, of course, other muscles. And like I said, this can go toward any exercise. Now, as beginners, we start at a little bit lower tempo, right? Because when it comes to beginners, it's been a long time since you've worked out. You haven't moved in a long time. You've been sitting down a lot. So we want to focus on the form to make sure that everything you do is right so we don't get injured through the process. And then as we progress, we increase the tempo into higher numbers to where you're holding the contraction longer and then controlling the lengthening of the muscle as well. And then we take you step by step through the entire workout. Now this is going to be able to be done in less than 30 minutes. So what you want to focus on, depending on where you're at, depending on what your goals are, especially when it comes to fat loss, 30 minutes is more than enough. So pick 3 to 4 exercises that you can work on, which are the basics, and learn to control the tempo. And the 4 basic exercises, 3 to 4, again, it's all different. It could be 5 if you want to do total body, is your squat movement or a leg press, something that's going to bend the joints at the knees and the hips. And then our upper body, we want to utilize a chest movement. And then we want to utilize a row or a pull down movement. And then if you want to toss in some shoulders and arms, you can do that as well and start to break it up a little bit more. But without understanding how the muscles work, it's going to be very, very hard for you to get consistent results because so many people have such bad form. Yes, they're moving, which is great, but they're not working the desired muscles that they want in most cases because they really don't understand how the muscles work. And utilizing tempo is going to be able to slow your movements down and allow you to focus on those working muscles. And not only that, we're going to maintain a contraction throughout those muscles for anywhere from 30 to 50 seconds. So beginners are going to be on the lower end. If you're advanced, man, we're going to tear you up and have you on time under tension for up to 50 to 60 seconds, which is the primary goal when it comes to building muscle and burning fat throughout your workout. Now, as I tell everybody, nutrition is going to play a role in this as well. So if you're eating crap, no matter what you do, nothing's going to work for you. But in order to maximize your strength training routine, focus on using more of a tempo when it comes to controlling your strength training sessions, all right? And most people don't need to be lifting more than 30 minutes. Now, if you're an athlete, bodybuilder, someone who is actually trying to enhance their physique to that next level, then again, you're gonna go 45 minutes to an hour on a more structured program designed to meet those needs. Just as we design fat loss program to meet the needs of individuals who are working out for 30 minutes, we design workouts to meet the needs of those athletes toward 45 to 60 minutes. But if you wanna maximize fat loss and increase lean muscle, start controlling your movements. It's not how fast you can go when it comes to lifting weights. It's how slow can you go to meet your rep range, which is based on the goals you're trying to accomplish when it comes to building lean muscle and burning fat. Very, very simple concept. Everybody, my name is Johnny Barrera, and I'm the owner and personal trainer here at BFit Tyler, and our goal is to help our clients get results through not only utilizing tempo, through program design, through our app, through nutrition, through accountability, and consistent coaching, because that is what we do here at BFit Tyler. Now, if you're struggling getting results or need some help through program design, do not hesitate to reach out, because we have the best trainers here in the city of Tyler that are gonna help you reach your health and fitness goals. Now, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to reach out at any time, as this is gonna be posted on different platforms. You can comment below, comment in any section, or reach out to us at www.bfittyler.com. And we'll see you soon.